The cold silence of deep space was broken only by the steady hum of the Empire's massive starship, vigilant, as it glided past uncharted stars. Commander Alara stood on the bridge, eyes fixed on the glowing blip appearing on their sensors, a faint energy signal coming from the forbidden sector beyond the rim. It was unlike anything they had seen before, small but steady, a heartbeat pulsing from a dark and distant world lost to time. The Empire's maps marked this sector as a no-man's land, abandoned and dangerous, rumored to be home only to forgotten dangers. Yet this signature was different, organized, almost alive. Ilara's fingers danced over the controls as she ordered the ship closer, curiosity sparking in the tight silence. The Vigilant descended through thick clouds and wild storms until finally the planet's surface revealed itself. Lush green forests sprawling beneath towering mountains, rivers shining like silver ribbons, and in the distance, strange structures, rising clearly built by intelligent hands, a civilization, hidden and untouched. The Empire's historians had long thought all humans outside their reach were extinct or absorbed, but here, in the shadow of forgotten history, humans thrived in isolation. As the ship's scanners studied the area, they detected signs of life. Villages clustered along riverbanks, smoke rising from chimneys, and signals of activity, unlike anything the Empire's science teams expected. It was a human civilization, but old, untouched by starship or machine. No gleaming towers or metal cities, only stone, wood, and simple technology crafted by hand. The ship's communication officer sent out a message, an official greeting from the Empire, cautious and respectful. The reply came hours later, in a language both strange and familiar, a mix of old Earth dialects and new words formed over centuries of isolation. The humans who answered did not speak of empires or conquest, but of harmony with the land, of stories passed down through generations, and a fierce pride in their survival. The Empire's scientists buzzed with excitement and disbelief. How had this civilization stayed hidden for so long? Alara felt a strange mix of awe and suspicion as the crew prepared to send a landing party. The explorers who stepped onto the soft earth were greeted not by fear or hostility, but by wary curiosity. The people wore clothes made from natural fibers, their faces painted with symbols of their clans and beliefs, their eyes sharp and watchful. They welcomed the Empire's representatives into their village with rituals that spoke of ancient traditions. Yet there was a warning in their words. Technology brought by outsiders could be dangerous, and freedom was something they guarded, fiercely. As days passed, the Empire's delegation witnessed daily life filled with quiet strength. The humans hunted with skill, crafted tools from stone and bone, and told stories under starlit skies. Yet beneath the surface, attention grew. The lost humans knew secrets about the stars and dangers beyond that they had fought hard to forget. Late one night, under the faint glow of a blood-red moon, a village elder spoke in a low voice, revealing fragments of a dark past. A war that had forced their ancestors into hiding, a ruthless enemy that had hunted them across galaxies. The Empire's officers listened in stunned silence, realizing that this discovery was more than a scientific breakthrough. It was a key to an ancient conflict that could still threaten the galaxy. As the Vigilant prepared to leave, Alara looked back at the distant fires flickering in the human village. What had started as a simple mission of exploration had become a story of survival, mystery, and the fragile hope of a lost people found. The Empire had found humans alive, not just surviving but thriving, hidden in the stars, waiting for their story to be told once more. And as the ship's engines roared to life, the question hung in the air. What would happen when the galaxy learned that humanity was not lost but waiting? The Empire's fleet hovered silently above the vibrant world that had been hidden from their knowledge for centuries, a place untouched by their advanced technology, yet brimming with life and secrets. Commander Alara, still haunted by the stories told under the blood-red moon, now found herself at the center of a delicate mission to make true contact with this lost human civilization and understand the people who had thrived without the Empire's reach. The landing party returned with more than just curiosity. They brought tales of rituals, ancient songs, and a society that lived as one with the land, unlike anything seen before. The Empire's diplomats, scholars, and scientists assembled to meet the elders of the human villages. Their arrival met with cautious eyes and quiet gatherings. The humans' leaders, tall and calm, spoke with voices that carried the weight of generations, their words weaving tales of survival, respect for nature, and a deep distrust of machines that could steal freedom. The Empire's representatives offered gifts, tools forged with precision, knowledge of the stars beyond the horizon, and promises of peace and cooperation. But these humans, bound by ancient laws and the memories of old wars, were not easily swayed. They invited the envoys to live among them, to see their way of life firsthand, hoping understanding could grow without the shadow of conquest. Days stretched into weeks, and the Empire's crew began to see the strength and simplicity. The humans hunted and farmed with skill, crafted their homes with care, and told stories that painted the stars with meaning. Yet, beneath this calm surface, tension simmered. The elders spoke of a time when humans had reached for the stars but were hunted down by an enemy so fierce it had shattered their civilization. The scars of that war ran deep, making these people wary of any new technology, no matter how advanced. A young diplomat named Lyra, fascinated by their culture, grew close to a local guide named Kale, who shared stories of ancient heroes and battles fought in the shadows. Through Kale's eyes, Lyra saw not just a lost civilization, but a people shaped by pain and resilience, proud yet fearful of losing what little freedom they had left. As the Empire debated how to proceed, rumors began to spread among the villages. Outsiders were not just visitors but potential threats. Some humans feared the Empire's intentions, whispering warnings of betrayal and the return of old enemies. Night after night, secret meetings took place, the elders debating whether to close their world forever or risk joining a galaxy that had forgotten them. Meanwhile, strange signs appeared on the horizon, signals detected by the Empire's sensors that hinted at something lurking beyond the stars, an unknown presence watching, waiting. The Empire's officers realized this was more than a diplomatic mission. It was a race against time. They needed the trust of the lost humans to face whatever darkness was returning. Tensions reached a breaking point when a young hunter from the villages disappeared under mysterious circumstances, sparking fear and suspicion on both sides. Accusations flew, alliances were tested, and Alara struggled to keep peace. In a decisive council, the humans revealed their sacred code. No empire would ever control them, but they would stand together with allies who respected their way of life. The Empire pledged to honor their autonomy and protect their secrets, knowing this fragile bond might be the key to survival. As the sun set behind distant mountains, a silent understanding passed between two very different peoples. They were no longer strangers but partners on the edge of an unknown future. The question remained, could they truly trust each other when the shadows of war were closing in and the fate of both worlds hung in the balance? The quiet peace that had settled between the Empire's emissaries and the lost human civilization began to crack as shadows from the past slowly crept into the light, twisting the fragile trust that had taken weeks to build. Commander Ilara found herself drawn deeper into the mysteries these people held close, secrets whispered only in the darkest nights and told in stories that seemed more like warnings than history. One evening, beneath the vast canopy of stars, an elder named Rhea invited Alara and her closest advisors to a hidden chamber carved into the mountain's heart, a place few outsiders had seen. Inside, walls were covered with ancient markings, pictures of stars and ships, and strange symbols that pulsed faintly with a forgotten power. Rhea's voice was steady but heavy as she revealed a terrible truth. Long ago, humanity had reached far beyond this planet, conquering the stars and forging an empire of their own. But they had made a deadly enemy, a merciless species called the Cathar, whose hatred burned like a wildfire across galaxies. The Cathar had destroyed entire human worlds, hunting survivors like prey, forcing these lost humans into exile on this distant planet where the enemy's reach faltered. Memories of that war were alive in the elders' hearts, their scars hidden beneath calm faces. The Empire's scholars listened in awe, realizing that the tales they had dismissed as myth were real, and that the lost humans held knowledge that could change the fate of the galaxy. But the story was not just of war and defeat, it was of resistance and hope. Rhea explained how the humans had learned to hide, to live without technology that might attract the Cathar, to protect their knowledge in secret, and to train each generation in the ways of survival. The elders showed weapons crafted not from metal, but from rare crystals with strange energy, tools of defense against an enemy still lurking beyond the stars. As Alara absorbed this, a chill ran through her. The Cathar's name was unknown to the Empire, but the signs of their approach were becoming clearer with every day. The lost humans had not just survived by chance. They had been waiting, preparing for the day the enemy would return. Outside the chamber, tension simmered. Some humans feared that the Empire's technology might draw the Cathar's attention, breaking the fragile shield of isolation. Others argued that joining forces with the Empire was the only way to survive. The debate was fierce and painful, echoing centuries of loss and fear. Alara found herself caught in the middle, struggling to balance the Empire's ambition with respect for the lost humans' wishes. As days passed, strange phenomena unsettled the planet. Unexplained power fluctuations, sudden storms that seemed unnatural, and faint signals picked up by the Empire's ships, signals that seemed to come from deep space and yet spoke of destruction. The Empire's scientists worked around the clock, trying to decipher the warnings hidden in the static, while the lost humans prepared their defenses in ways old and new. Then, one night, a distress call shattered the silence. A scout ship from the Empire reported an attack in the nearby system, brutal and swift, marked by signs only known from the legends, the dark marks of the Cathar. Panic spread through the Alliance. The lost humans mobilized, not with the weapons of the Empire, but with their own fierce tactics, honed over generations. Alara realized the danger was not just to this planet but to the entire galaxy, and the knowledge of the past was the only key to survival. The Empire and the lost humans had to put aside their differences, but trust was fragile and every decision was heavy with risk. In the darkest hours before dawn, as alarms echoed and ships prepared for battle, Alara stood beside Rhea, feeling the weight of history and the uncertain future ahead. The shadows of the past were no longer just stories, they were coming alive. Again, threatening to consume everything unless they could stand together. The lost civilization was no longer a secret, but a beacon of hope and warning in the vastness of space, and the Empire's discovery had opened a door that could never be closed. The question now was simple and terrifying. Were they ready to face the enemy that had haunted humanity's dreams for generations, or would the past destroy them all? The night sky above the lost human world had never seemed so dark or full of tension, as if the very stars themselves held their breath, waiting for what was to come. Commander Alara stood on the observation deck of the Vigilant, eyes scanning the horizon as the planet below stirred with a nervous energy. The uneasy alliance between the Empire and the hidden humans was being tested like never before. For weeks, strange signals had echoed through space, sharp bursts of interference that the Empire's scientists struggled to trace, each pulse like a warning from some unseen danger. Suddenly, without any clear sign or warning, the threat became real. Shadows filled the sky as hostile ships, sleek and silent, dropped out of faster-than-light travel just beyond the planet's orbit. The ancient enemy, the Cathar, had returned. Their vessels were unlike anything the Empire had seen, dark, angular, and moving with deadly precision. The fleet opened fire, sending waves of energy blasts toward the planet's defenses and the Empire's ships. The Vigilant and the accompanying fleet scrambled to respond, but the Cathar's tactics were brutal and swift, their attacks designed to cripple before the humans and their new allies could even fully react. Below, the lost humans sprang into action, not with starships or laser cannons, but with weapons and strategies forged through generations of survival. Their guerrilla fighters moved like ghosts through forests and mountains, striking at supply lines and sabotaging enemy plans. The Empire's commanders watched in awe as the humans' knowledge of the land and stealth tactics confounded the key invaders. Alara and the human leader Rhea worked side by side, coordinating defenses and sharing information. It was clear that neither side could win alone. The Empire's technology was powerful but unfamiliar to the humans, while the humans' skills in close combat and terrain mastery saved lives where machines could not. The battle raged for days, the sky above lit by explosions and tracer fire, the ground shaking from distant impacts. But even as the Alliance fought back, the Cathar showed a terrifying new weapon, a device that emitted waves of energy disrupting the Empire's advanced systems and causing their ships to falter. The lost humans called it the Shadow Pulse, a weapon remembered only in their oldest legends, now brought to deadly life. Panic threatened to spread among the Empire's ranks, but Alara refused to let fear take hold. She ordered a retreat to regroup, while the humans gathered their warriors to plan a daring counterattack. The night before the final battle, the air was thick with tension and silent prayers. Alara walked among the villages, seeing the faces of people who had lived in hiding for centuries, now fighting to protect their home and the fragile hope of the future. Young fighters sharpened stone blades alongside engineers repairing damaged ships, a strange but powerful blend of old and new. As dawn approached, the Alliance launched their plan, a surprise strike deep into the Cathar's fleet, using the humans' knowledge of hidden passages and the Empire's firepower. The attack was fierce, pushing back the enemy and destroying the Shadow Pulse device, but it came at a high cost. Many brave warriors from both sides fell, their sacrifice etching a new chapter in the long story of survival. In the aftermath, the skies cleared, but the war was far from over. The Cathar had been driven back, but their hatred remained, and the lost humans had shown the Empire that strength came not just from technology, but from heart, courage, and unity. Alara knew that the coming days would test their fragile alliance even more, and the galaxy would soon learn that the lost civilization was not just a forgotten people, but a force ready to stand against darkness. The unseen threat had revealed itself, but so had the power of two very different worlds joining as one, their fate intertwined in a battle for survival that would echo through the stars. The dust from the fierce battle still hung thick in the air as dawn's first light began to paint the sky, casting long shadows over the scarred landscape where the Empire's fleet and the lost humans' warriors gathered to regroup and plan their next move. Commander Alara moved among them with a steady calm, her voice carrying a new sense of hope and determination that had been forged through fire and blood. The fighting had brought more than destruction. It had broken down walls between two very different peoples. Where once suspicion and fear had ruled, now there was a fragile but growing trust. The humans showed the Empire's soldiers how to move silently through forests, to read the subtle signs of the land, and to strike quickly with precision born of centuries of survival. In turn, the Empire shared its knowledge of advanced weapons, starship tactics, and communication systems, teaching the humans how to use these tools without losing their connection to the world they loved. Together they trained, laughed, and mourned side by side, realizing that their strengths complemented one another in ways neither could have imagined. The enemy was still out there, lurking beyond the stars, waiting for another chance to strike. And both sides knew the next battle would decide the fate of the planet, and perhaps the entire galaxy. Alara called a council where leaders from the Empire and the lost human clans gathered to forge a plan that would use every advantage they had. They decided on a daring strike, a coordinated attack deep into the heart of the Cathar's hidden base, a place of darkness and danger where the enemy gathered strength. The mission was perilous, and many volunteered to lead the charge, knowing the risks but driven by the desire to protect their homes and loved ones. Among them was Kale, the young human warrior who had become a symbol of hope and courage, and Lyra, the diplomat whose friendship with Kyle had grown into something deeper amid the trials of war. As the fleet prepared to jump into enemy space, tension gripped every heart. The attack would require perfect timing and trust that had only just begun to grow. When the moment came, the skies lit up with energy blasts and starships weaving through enemy fire. On the ground, the humans moved like shadows, disabling defenses and creating openings for the Empire's forces to advance. The battle was fierce, every step hard-won against an enemy that refused to yield. In the chaos, Kale and Lyra found themselves fighting side by side, their bond a small but powerful light in the darkness. They led a group deep into the enemy's command center, confronting horrors that tested their will, but never broke their spirit. Their success dealt a devastating blow to the Cathar, crippling their ability to launch further attacks and forcing a retreat that sent shockwaves through the enemy ranks. Victory came at a price, with losses that weighed heavily on every survivor. But it was a victory that proved the strength of unity and the power of two very different worlds coming together. In the days that followed, celebrations were quiet but heartfelt, marked by stories of bravery and the promise of a new future. The Empire and the lost humans had formed more than an alliance. They had created a bond that would change the galaxy forever. Commander Alara looked out over the horizon, where stars began to shine with renewed light, and knew that this unity forged in battle was just the beginning. The true challenge was ahead, to build a future where differences were not feared but celebrated, and where the legacy of the lost humans could inspire all of humanity to rise stronger, together. The battle scars that marked the land beneath the twin suns were fading slowly, but the spirit of those who fought, the Empire's soldiers and the lost humans alike, burned brighter than ever as a new dawn rose over the world they had fought so hard to protect. Commander Alara stood on a cliff overlooking the valley, the wind carrying the mixed scents of fresh earth and hopeful beginnings, while behind her, the once hidden villages buzzed with activity, their people no longer shadows but proud citizens of a shared future. The Empire had made promises, not just of protection, but of respect and partnership, and the lost humans, cautious but resolute, had chosen to step forward into a new era, one where their ancient traditions could live alongside the advancements of the stars. Plans were underway to rebuild what had been damaged, but more than that, to create schools where knowledge from both worlds would be taught, to share stories that connected past and present, and to open the gates to exploration rather than isolation. Yet beneath this hopeful surface the air held a lingering tension, a reminder that the threat of the Cathar had not vanished but merely been pushed back into the darkness beyond the stars. Alara knew that peace was fragile and that vigilance would be needed to guard this hard-won unity. She convened a council that brought together leaders from the Empire and the human clans, a meeting filled with quiet strength and the weight of responsibility. They spoke not just of defense, but of trust, of building bridges that could withstand the tests of time and conflict. Kael, now a respected warrior and leader among his people, stood beside Lyra, their partnership a symbol of the hope that had grown from shared struggle. Together they proposed a new mission, to send emissaries beyond the lost planet, not as conquerors or explorers, but as ambassadors of unity, to tell the story of survival, courage, and the power of working together. As ships prepared to leave, carrying envoys into the unknown, the skies filled with the light of a fleet unlike any before, ships bearing the symbols of two cultures joined by choice and respect. Alara watched as the vessels lifted off, her heart heavy with pride and cautious hope. The galaxy beyond was vast and filled with dangers yet unseen, but it was also a place of endless possibilities. The lost humans had not just survived, they had taught the Empire a lesson about resilience, respect, and the true meaning of strength. And in the quiet moments before the stars claimed the night, Alara felt a deep certainty that this new dawn was more than the end of a battle. It was the beginning of a story that would shine through the darkness for generations to come. The question now was not if the galaxy could change, but how far humanity could reach when united, standing together as one.